preparing to live stream the meeting. There's a bar that has a lot of messages. All right, I now see YouTube and a live stream. So I think this exists. Perfect. And I'm watching the live stream, so I need to. Cool. So we're now live streaming. I assume we also want to record at the same time. Cool. I'll record on my computer since that seems reasonable. All right, we are set up and we have a couple of agenda items for the day. The first one is Jeremy, who is currently sneezing, to talk about Cloudflare.
I mean, I don't have a lot to talk about, but Cloudflare has an IPFS gateway now, which is pretty cool. And they wrote a big long article about how IPFS works. And you can, instead of using IPFS.io, you can use Cloudflare-IPFS. Whatever Cloudflare's extension is. I forget, it might be com, but it's pretty cool. I was wondering, Lydell, do you know if we redirect that yet, or are we going too soon?
Like, it will work just out
of the box? Great. Yeah, I don't know. If anybody has any questions on that, I can try to answer them, but I just thought it was cool and wanted to point it out.
Yeah, that is cool.
Any other questions or follow-up stuff? I think this is also the perfect moment for folks to add themselves to the agenda if anyone has any additional things that they think we should talk about today. Oh, the other thing I was supposed to ask for was a note taker. So going backwards in time, would someone volunteer to be today's note taker? Thanks, Jacob. I appreciate that. All right, I don't see any hands. The second agenda item for today is David talking about planning OKRs in the open.
All right, cool. Thank you, Molly. So if you received notifications from GitHub, you might have found issue 698 on the IPFS PM repo. It's a very long piece of text, but it basically talks about two things. It's the time of the year that we have to plan the next quarter and really review the progress we've done this quarter.
Oh.
I'm muted? I'm really muted? Okay,
you're back. You're back.
Okay. So I'll try to, I don't know, resend the packets that got dropped. So yeah, let's plan the next quarter. If you are new to the IPFS community, or if this is the first time you're actually doing this exercise, the gist is this happens over 2 weeks. We do planning OKRs in the open, or at least some of the working groups have developed that habit, and we encourage all the other ones to do it the same. If a working group captain and the respective team has another way to do it, that's also fine. But what planning OKRs in the open means is you create some venue, can be a Google Doc, can be a Hackpad, can be a Cryptpad, can be GitHub pull requests, where everyone that participates in that working group gets to voice, like from their perspective, from their experience working on the project, what are the top priority items that should be tackled next quarter. And this means that not only the people that are on the working group get to voice their own perspective, also people in the community or users can come and tell us like which items, which features with bug fixes, with performance improvements, tutorials, etc., they really need, so that when we then try to coalesce all of those perspectives, all of those ideas for key results, we can create like a list that captures the most important things, and also that we have owners to tackle each of those key results. And so you can see on that issue already, some of the working groups already have like open PRs. For example, the web browser working group is a good example of like, they do it in a HackMD, and again, that's fine. And so what you'll see on those places is that people will like just post what key results they think it should be tackled next quarter. And over the course of 2 weeks, we'll keep massaging. Oh, my audio is off again.
No, you're good.
Okay, so yeah, to sum up, like we'll like keep massaging the key results that people propose until we feel that we arrive at a good list that we can commit for the next quarter. The goal is by October 1st for that list to be frozen. So we have 2 weeks to do that. And OKRs it's not just about like setting up whatever we have to work next. It's actually like review what we have achieved so far. So the retrospective exercise, and we do it asynchronously because, as you know, we work across the world and like it's hard to find times to like synchronize with everyone. And we learned that doing it asynchronously works very well. There is a template on that issue as well that you can use for your working group. It basically asks like very simple questions. What was achieved? What didn't get achieved? What needs to be achieved in the next quarter? And like, what are the things that we can improve as teams to like keep productivity up and like success rate up? If you have questions, feel free to ask now or ping me later, or even like ask on the issue. There's a lot of ideas and context why these things are important there. If you feel there's like something that also should be added to that exercise, please like share your ideas. That's it. Cool.
Woo! Are there any other questions or comments or anyone confused about exactly where this is? Someone from C5 just raised their hand.
Oh,
so
sorry,
go for it.
Put it in chat the proper way. You said a pull request against Jira and mentioned a PM Jira. Is that what I heard? Or did I not hear that right? Maybe.
David, do you maybe want to share your screen to show exactly where it is?
Let's do it. Screen share, Firefox. Make sure I'm in the right place. So on IPFS land, we pretty much like use GitHub for everything. And we do have a repo called IPFS PM. It's where, like, for example, this call gets announced. It's where other calls for the working groups get announced as well.
Cool. You can add again.
We are planning. That explains these two things that I just went through. So the async retrospective of the quarter and how we have done it in the past. So we have like here an example of like the JS core dev team doing it for Q2. And it's a Google Doc, like everyone gets access and you can see missing my audio, like
You're back.
Okay, so let's try to recover the packets. There is an issue on IPFS PM. It describes this this exercise that we're going to do for the next 2 weeks. You have some examples of what we have done in the past. As you can see, the template is quite simple. It's like review progress and talk about learnings. And with this information, we use it to prepare for the next quarter and to improve things. And this is where we enter in planning OKRs in the open. You have some examples here of like how we have previously done it. So planning OKRs in the open means like there is some venue, some location where people can share their ideas of like what should be done for next quarter. And then there is like multiple iterations over a doc, like where we try to massage like what is each OKR, what is its objective, why it is important. Sometimes things get dropped, but then you have like a public record of like why it got dropped, like why we cannot do it, for example, or why we had to prioritize something else. So this becomes like also a very useful document for future selves to then go back and understand why decisions were made in a certain way. Once that that conversation happens and we are ready to commit, we can go and publish our objectives and key results to the OKR spreadsheet. And this is shared across the IPFS working groups and basically lists the things that we have committed to. Here you can see like we have multiple objectives for the JS team. So this is like Q3 This is like, I'm showing examples from the past. And you can see like we have owners for these key results. We have scoring. We do scoring at the middle of the quarter. And then we have end of the quarter scoring. And we use this like to communicate clearly within the team and also between teams what each team is focusing. So if your team needs something from some other team, you can clearly check if they are going to work on it or if they are prioritizing it at all by checking their OKR spreadsheet. And if they are not, maybe you should talk with that other team as a user saying, "Hi, we really need this feature from you." So I'll stop my screen share, make my connection better. Was that clarifying?
Yes.
Perfect.
I think the other thing that we need to be doing right now is also, as David was showing, scoring this past quarter's OKRs. And that's also very important for us to be able to understand, are we hitting the goals that we're setting for ourselves? If we set goals and then we never do them, then we're miscommunicating to our team and all of our dependencies. So that's also the important thing that we should do sooner rather than later in that last end of quarter column in the OKR sheet. Any other thoughts, questions, comments around OKRs, items people want to discuss on that?
I have a quick question about working groups. Are there known working groups for the Go IPFS project? I guess I don't know them, so maybe other people don't if there are.
So the Go IPFS project is a working group itself.
That makes sense.
And there are working groups, for example, IPFS cluster, which has a very specific focus, which is building like the cluster software for IPFS.
Yeah.
But like, because they need stuff from Go IPFS itself, there's a lot of interaction. Sometimes the request. What? My audio is gone again?
Just for a minute, just for like 15 seconds.
Okay, I was like seeing Molly and Jeremy nodding, and I was not sure if I was saying something incorrect or if my audio was wrong. So yeah, like there's multiple working groups, and like each working group has the area of focus. There is one for Go IPFS. Sometimes other working groups need something from Go IPFS, the project itself, the code base, and so they can either like make that request to the working group or try to submit the contribution directly. There is a document that lists all the working groups that I'll post here as well on Zoom chat so that you have access to it.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments? All right. Lytle, did you want to talk a little more around the Cloudflare gateway and DNS?
Yeah, sorry about that. My connection dropped just when I started answering to Jeremy's question. Yes, IPFS Companion will automatically detect IPFS paths on Cloudflare gateway, and if you are running local gateway, it will redirect to your local node. What's interesting for like mainstream adoption is the fact that maybe I'll share my screen quickly. What's really interesting is that they also support, like Cloudflare itself is a free DNS provider, and now that they have IPFS gateway, you basically can use something called DNS link to point your domain name to static website hosted on IPFS, and you actually don't need any server. So that's like truly serverless. And what's on top of that, what's interesting is that Cloudflare already had this free SSL certificate infrastructure. So if you are using DNS link with Cloudflare and you are okay with free certificate from them, you will get it for free. And there is like a documentation step by step how to set up a DNS link with Cloudflare and IPFS. So that's just a quick shout out from me about that.
Lars, and then Johnny. And did anyone else raise a hand?
Yeah,
Go
just
ahead.
quick addition that I wrote down into your agenda point, which is they didn't just deploy this gateway, which is pretty amazing, but also build a stack exchange on IPFS with search and all that. So it's linked in their blog post, and it's pretty performant. It actually looks like their IPFS gateway is distributed across their whole Anycast CDN. So, for example, the gateway that I hit from Berlin is right in Berlin, near the airport, I guess, in that big data center. So yeah, and they're saying there's more news coming over the week. I don't know if that's going to be IPFS related as well, but I'm pretty excited. I mean, I knew there was something coming at some point, but it's pretty shocking and awesome. Shocking in a good way, I guess.
All right, Johnny?
Yeah, actually, I found my answer as far as a secure site on their the documents. So cool, super cool, in fact.
Any other questions about Cloudflare? All right, then I haven't seen any other agenda items added to the doc. Does anyone else have anything they want to discuss on this call? All right then. Was wonderful seeing all of you. Fingers crossed that the live streaming actually worked appropriately, and I'll do my best to upload this recording to YouTube. We're slowly making our way through technical difficulties. So awesome, and we'll see you all next week.
Thank you.
Do your OKRs.
So cloud.
Someone have a Cloudflare question? Not that I can per se answer it, but I have a Jeremy.